In the heart of Zamra, a village surrounded by vast forests and flowing rivers, lived a young girl named Yeri, with long braided hair, skin that glowed like polished bronze, and eyes full of wonder. She was the light of her parents, but fate was unkind. A sudden illness took both her father and mother, leaving Yeri alone in the world. Her uncle Ogudu took her in, treating her as his own child. Unlike many orphaned children who suffered at the hands of cruel relatives, Yeri was fortunate. Her uncle showered her with love, ensuring she lacked nothing. However, his wife, Madiga, was not so generous in her heart, though she put on a kind face before her husband. Deep down, jealousy filled her heart. She resented Yeri's beauty and the attention she received. Yet, fearing Ogbudu's wrath, she masks her hatred with false smiles and fake accolades. One fateful evening, just as the village settled into the peace of night, the ground trembled with sound of galloping horses. War drums echoed through the air, sending waves of fear through Zamra's people. Before anyone could react, shadows stormed the village. Warriors from Kazamku, a distant and mighty kingdom, they struck with brutality, cutting down warriors, setting huts ablaze, and sending women and children into hiding. Ogudu was among the brave men who took up arms to defend their homeland. He kissed his children and wife, then turned to Yeri. His eyes filled with urgency. "Stay hidden, no matter what happens. I will return." Madiga led the children and Yeri into a concealed chamber beneath the house. From their hiding place, they heard the clash of weapons, the screams of the fallen, and the triumphant shouts of the Kazamku's invaders. When dawn broke, the battle was over. Zamra had fallen. Kazamku warriors searched every hut, capturing women and children from their hiding place. Madiga watched as people were dragged away, their wails piercing the morning silence. A sinister thought crossed her mind. If Yeri were captured, she would no longer be a burden. With feigned concern, she turned to the girl. "Yeri, we have little food left. Go outside and pick some oranges from the tree. We will need them." Yeri hesitated, fear gripping her heart. "But the warriors are still outside," she responded. "They have already left this part of the village," Madiga assured her with a deceptive smile. "Go now, quickly." Trusting her, Yeri stepped outside. The moment her feet touched the open ground, strong hands seized her. She screamed, but Madiga did not move to help. She watched from the shadows as Yeri was taken, a cruel satisfaction in her eyes. The captives were bound in chains and forced to march for days without rest. Yeri's feet were blistered, her body weak with hunger, and exhaustion weighed them down. But nothing compared to Yeri's heartbreak. The betrayal of her uncle's wife stung deeper than any wound. But she pressed on, determined to survive. When they finally arrived at Kazamku, she was thrown into an enclosure with the other captives. A fate she had never imagined for herself. Just as she was resigning to her new reality, a familiar voice called her name. She turned and there stood her uncle Ogudu, his face marked with pain and sorrow. "Uncle," she whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. Ogudu rushed to her, gripped her shoulders tightly. "How did they find you? Where I hid you, no one could have discovered." Tears streamed down her face, but she said nothing. The betrayal was too heavy to voice. Ogudu saw the pain in her eyes and understood. Anger in his heart, but his priority remained the same: protecting Yeri. Days turned into weeks, and Yeri and her uncle adapted to a life as slaves, performing many attacks under the watch eyes of Kazamku guards. Then, news spread like wildfire. A town crier made announcement. Everybody listen and pay attention. The queen had died, and the king sought a new wife. All young maidens of pure virtue who are virgins are to present themselves in the palace for selection. Ogudu saw a spark of hope in this opportunity. "Yeri, you must enter the contest." Her eyes widened. "But uncle, I'm just a slave. Just a slave girl. Trust me," he insisted. "This is your chance for freedom." Reluctantly, Yeri obeyed. She was among the chosen and underwent 6 months of purification. When her time came to meet the king, she carried herself with grace, her beauty unmatched. The king was captivated and requested to see her again. Days later, he made his decision. Yeri would be his queen. Though Yeri now wore a crown, her heart remained heavy for her people. One night, she knelt before the king. "My lord, how can I be queen and my people remain slaves?" The king, who had grown deeply fond of her, pondered her words. "You asked for too much, but because I love you, I will grant your wish. However, Zamra must still be ruled under Kazamku." Yeri bowed her head before the king. "My lord, then let my uncle Ogudu rule in my place." The king agreed, and a royal decree was issued. All Zamra captives were freed, and Ogudu was named ruler under Kazamku's protection. The people of Zamra returned home, not as broken captives, but as honored citizens, carrying wealth and gifts from the great kingdom. Madiga, who had lived in fear and regret since Yeri's capture, could not believe the news. When she saw the royal procession entering the village, she collapsed in shock. Guilt weighed so heavily on her that she confessed her betrayal before the entire village. The weight of her wickedness consumed her, and with tears of remorse, she breathed her last. Under Ogudu's rule, Zamra flourished. With Kazamku's protection, no enemy dare attack them again. Yeri, now a queen, frequently visited her homeland, ensuring that it thrived. She became a symbol of resilience, justice, and destiny fulfilled. And so, the legend of the captive queen lived on.